always. We appreciate you all so much. Nice to be in a cool place today. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July celebration. And here we go into what I call the second half of the summer. It's Wimbledon, Steve. And so whenever I see Wimbledon, I start thinking school starts. Yeah. And so we're on the downhill slide now. So it gets to that point. VBS is coming, and so that's going to be really our main focus here at Living Faith over the next few weeks. And over the past 2 weeks and finishing this week, we've been talking about our mission statement, our action statement, and today we're going to go. That's the last of that, and so this action statement that we talk about is to connect and grow and serve and go, and that helps us to live out our mission statement of growing, going, and glorifying. And so from time to time we come back to this, and we've just seen a lot of things. In the last 6 months, we've seen God moving in our congregation, moving here at Living Faith, and we've seen people making connecting points. People showing up, the women's conference, we saw a lot there. We've seen our women's ministry, we've seen our men's ministry, and then we're seeing God moving in that. Last Sunday, during the 11 o'clock hour, Roger and Dana Robbins made a commitment and joined Living Faith as official members. They've been coming for a while. Some of y'all may not know them. They come to the 11 o'clock service most of the time. And so they made that official last Sunday. Those are the things that we're seeing God stir in. Okay? And we've seen several families do that over the past 6 months. And we've seen folks that have come and plugged in and connected to Living Faith. And so when you make those connection points and we start plugging in, and we've seen folks make professions of faith, and the next thing to do is to kind of get focused on what comes next. And so the grow, serve, go is what we try to keep in front of you all the time. And we circle back to this pretty often, at least once a year, at least once every couple of years. We come back and just remind ourselves, what are we doing, right? What are we doing? And so today, we're going to talk about going. And it's going to be a little different. Because a lot of times when you say, especially a pastor gets up and says, we're going to go. And when you hear go, it's like, well, I don't know. And sometimes it makes us a little nervous. It's like, I don't have a passport, and I don't like getting out of the country, and I don't know if I really want to leave home. And well, just bear with me, okay? We're going to talk about how we can go, how we can support international missions, how we can support national missions, how we can support state missions. But going begins right here in this room. Okay, and so just bear with us as we start looking at what we're going to, and how that really connects to Vacation Bible School as we go forward. Matthew chapter 28, we've read this a lot, and you should know this, and it's there. And just a quick program note, we're really not trying to drive you insane with this screen over here, okay? It's out of our control, and so when it blinks out, it's not anything that we're just back there going, I want to mess with them. It's really not. And the church took steps a couple of weeks ago to get that fixed, and so we're moving in that direction. It's a major overhaul. It's a complete replacement of everything, and so that's going to happen. And so just bear with us. It'll get better. But Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. So I think you're safer if you keep focused on this side. If you don't want to go have a seizure and over here, this will be better for you. So the Great Commission, Matthew 28:19. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. Now, a few weeks ago, when we came to the end of our Jesus series, as we moved through the first half of the year, we really zeroed and drilled down into this, and we really looked at not so much the go, but what go is. It's to make disciples. We talked a great deal, extensively, about what we do to make disciples. And so today, as we look at going, the first thing that we have to realize is that God's mission and what we're supposed to do, it requires movement on our part, all right? We have to do something. It's an action statement, and he's telling us to go and make. And so that means that we have to do something. And we have to do that outside of the confines of who we are here, right? It has to go beyond these walls. It has to go beyond this place. It has to go outside somewhere of what we do within the walls of Living Faith. And not just the walls of Living Faith. It's different than that. And let me go ahead and just kind of get you thinking that way. It's not just in this room, but it's in our circles of influence, okay? It's within our circles of influence, because this is what happens. When you become a Christ follower, you connect with other Christ followers, All right? And so when you connect with other Christ followers, then your friends become Christ followers. And that's good. It's what it's supposed to be. But when you do that, you come into that circle, and so then that's where you feel comfortable, and that's the people that you talk to. All right? And so when you're with those people and you're in those circles, then what happens if you don't do something to get up and go outside of that circle of influence and that circle to reach people who are not Jesus followers, it never happens. Okay, that's how it happens. We become very comfortable and we're just like, this is what, and so it doesn't have to be here in this room, but it's just how you live your life. The people that you circle with, the people that you work with, the people that you are around all the time, those people are the ones that you're with. And so if they are all Jesus followers, then, and here's the thing, 80% of Ohio County is unchurched, all right? So it's not like you have to go very far to get and find someone, but we tend to be with the 20% that are, right? And so when you're in that circle, you're in that circle. Now, just remember that as we go forward. God's mission requires movement. So let's look at Isaiah chapter 6. It says, verse 8, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, well, here am I, send me. Christianity is not a stationary faith. We're called to go and not just to gather. And so what can happen is we tend to migrate to the gathering. All right? We tend to migrate to the gathering. And so we gather in this group, and then at 11 o'clock, there'll be others that will come in, and they will gather. And in between the services, we'll gather in the fellowship hall, and then you guys will gather into a table, and so we will circle up in our little circles. And that's what we talk about. That's where we grow. But if we're not intentional about moving outside of those circles, then we don't ever go. And so we have to think about what that means and what that looks like. Here's the first challenge for you this morning. Whenever you gather, if you gather in a small group, or maybe it's right here, or maybe it's over in the fellowship hall and when we gather over there in a little bit, ask yourself this question. Who's not here? Who is not here? Who do I know? Who is on my close to my house? Who is in my community? Who do I work with? Is there someone that I have some circle of influence or that I have a connection with or that I should? Maybe they're close, maybe they're a neighbor and they have kids, but they don't go to church. Who is not here? Okay, who is not here? We have plenty of room, right? There's plenty of room for more to come. And so who's not here? And so we should ask ourselves that question, who is not here that could be? And the first step in going is not so much traveling in long distances, but it's who are you going to, right? Who is that person? You see, because when we say go, that go is an action statement that may be your next door neighbor. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. It's that person that's in your life that hasn't been reached, and I'm going to give you some encouragement as we go through this to help you because we don't have a choice, right? We don't have a choice. Jesus commanded us to go. Acts chapter 1, look at verse 8. But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. You see, when I say go, that is the core mission of the church. It's right where you are. It's our home. It's our community. It's our workplace. It's the people that we connect with. And so there's no better time to do that than VBS. Okay. For some reason, VBS has kind of migrated to the first couple of weeks of June, and so everybody just kind of jumps on board. And we tend to be later in July, so parents need a break. All right. And so it's like VBS. Yeah, absolutely. These kids have been in my house eating frozen pizzas for a month. I'm ready to get rid of them. Right. Then come eat frozen pizza with you, right? And so it's an open door, right? And so everybody's looking for a VBS for their kids. It's something that is very well accepted in Ohio County, and so that's always a good conversation starter, and it's always well received. This is what typically happens, okay? When you become a Christ follower, and we already alluded to this a little bit. When you become a Christ follower, then that becomes your circle of community, and you tend not to venture outside of that circle of community. It's your friends, it's your people group, it's who you talk to on the phone, it's who you go places with, it's who you go on vacations with, it's who you do everything with, right? And so that circle becomes your circle. And then it becomes comfortable. Right? And so when it becomes comfortable, then that becomes what we do. And so this is the thing. This is how churches become country clubs. Right? This is how churches become country clubs, because once you get comfortable, then you become safe, and then venturing out and reaching anyone else seems very scary, right? It's like that's not really what we do. And so that's what most of your churches, and I hate to call churches country clubs across everywhere, but that's what you find a lot of, right? I mean, I've been there. I've spoken in a lot of different our rural churches all over Butler and Ohio County and other places, and it's one of those things that when especially your small country churches that have the back door that you walk up the steps and then you open the door from the parking lot directly into the sanctuary, okay? And so if you go to that's where I grew up, right? I grew up there. And so when you go up there and you open that door, everybody that's seated in the pews go, "Who's that?" Right? Who's that, and why are they here? Right? Because we're all here and this is us, right? And this is who comes, right? And so if somebody else comes, it's like, that's a stranger. And are they safe, right? We need to find out who that is. And so it's like, wow. And so we think like that because it's like everybody goes. And I knew I grew up in New Harmony. And if somebody different showed up that didn't normally come every Sunday, it was like, who is that? Right? Who is that, right? And so it's one of those things. And so we become this little thing, and this is what we do. And so we don't think outside of the walls. And it happens so easily. Now, the challenge is when we're in those groups is how do we grow those groups, okay? Because this is where it gets a little uncomfortable, right? Because Jesus chose 12, right? And it was a good number. And so if you start with a small group of 8 or 10 people or 5 or 6 people or 7 people or 8 people, it's like, well, if we keep growing the group, we'll be a church. Yeah, maybe. Sometimes we have to start new groups. Sometimes we have to step away from where we're at or where we're comfortable at and do something differently and take other people with us and invite new people, right? And so it's a slow process, guys. This help you but it works exponentially, right? If you have 5 groups in a church and every group adds one family each year, all right? And then every year you start a new group, look what happens in 5 years, right? Your groups have doubled. See, and it doesn't have to be radically wild, right? It's that focus, when that group gets together and says, who is God placed on our hearts that we can minister to, that we can invite, that we can get to come and try to get them to come and be a part of our group, and then get their family to be a part of the church, and then and then who else in this group is feeling led to start a new group, right? And so if one person in every group starts a new group, then you begin to grow. Kind of like they did in Acts. Kind of like they did in the early church. That's the way it's supposed to work. And all of that is an emphasis of going. Okay? Who is going to go and invite this family? Who is going to go and talk to these people? Who is going to do this? And so that is the concept that I want to really drill down in when it comes to going. The world is waiting on us. Look at this. Romans chapter 10. Love this. I love this. Romans chapter 10, verse 9. Paul says this to us. He says, if you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and you believe, okay, in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Feel the weight of that. How awesome is that? All right, let's look at that again. If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That is life-changing truth that we have. It is life-changing power that we have. And he says, for it is with your heart that you believe and are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved. It's the life-changing power that we have. And Scripture says anyone who believes in Him will never be put to shame. And there's no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all and richly blesses all who call on Him. And I love this one. You hear me say this a whole lot. That everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. That is our walking orders, okay? That is what we have. That is the truth of the gospel. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then, he says, how then can they call on the one that they've not believed in? And how can they believe in one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? It's coming together, isn't it? Makes sense. And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good. Okay? I love our shoebox ministry. But we also have to send the feet. Okay? We also have to send the feet. The feet have to carry the boxes. The feet are the ones who carry the message. Okay? If you just take boxes and set them on a doorstep and that's just gifts. That's just toys. Okay? But it is the people who carry the boxes that share the life-changing power of the gospel message that makes the difference. Okay? It makes the difference. The shoebox opens the door, but the feet walk through the door and the gospel message is given. Well, folks, people all around us are spiritually lost. All around us in this community. Like I said, 80% of Ohio County is unchurched. A lot of them have a story. I've learned that over the years. Most homes that you walk into in Ohio County and start talking to having a conversation with somebody about church, very few people will you look at and them look at you and they'll say, I don't know what a church is. I've never been to a church. I've never seen a church. I've never heard of church. Oh yeah, they've heard of church. A lot of them have a bad church experience. Yeah, I went down there to that church, so-and-so church down the road. They made fun of the way I was dressed, or they made fun of this, or they talked about this, or you have all these stories and all these excuses. I don't really care about the excuses. They need Jesus. They need Jesus. We must never forget our purpose. Here's a great scripture that gives us an action statement of purpose. Luke chapter 19, verse 10. Look at it. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Do you think about that? You see, that's the danger of comfort, right? The danger of comfort is you get comfortable and then you don't think about going, right? You don't get as excited about going. I get it. Sometimes the comfort feels good, right? The comfort feels good. The older I get and the more settled I get, the less traveling appeals to me, right? I like to go see things, but there used to be things about travel that, man, right? I mean, when we first took Taylor on vacation, her very first vacation, the very first time we took her to the beach, I think I spent more time in the room in the hotel that we were staying in watching SportsCenter because I didn't have SportsCenter at home, right? Okay, I didn't have it. I didn't have cable. We didn't have satellite. And I was like, I love SportsCenter. And so I was like, wow, I'm like a kid who grew up without a TV in their house. I'm like, I'll be down at the beach in a minute. I'm watching SportsCenter. We get comfortable, and now I have SportsCenter at home, right? I like my bed better than just about any bed I go anywhere, right? And so I've got all these things. I have all these comforts in my home. It's like I've got this, and I've got a place to sit, and I've got a nice, cool place, and air conditioning, and all this cool stuff. I'm good. You see, it's easy to get comfortable. And we can get comfortable in our groups. We get comfortable with our people. And then it's like, yeah, I'm okay. But we never need to forget why we are here and what we're here to do. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. It's realizing the lostness around us is what has to be the driving force that pushes us. And like I said, it's not easy. Okay, it's not. Look at Jonah. Okay? Because sometimes we have to leave what is comfortable to us. Okay? Sometimes we have to leave what is comfortable to us. In the morning, we're leaving to go to FFA camp. okay? And FFA camp is filled with a lot more amenities than what it used to be, okay? We used to have no air conditioning anywhere on the camp, and so when I look at a forecast like we have coming this week, I'd be like, oh, Lord, please, okay? And so, but now it's much, much better. But still, I would much rather be in my own bed than there, but I'm going to go, and I'm going to take kids. Why? Because it changes their lives. It changed mine, and it'll change theirs. And so for some of the kids that I take to camp this week, in the 5 days that we're going to be there, it will be a life-changing experience for them. And because of that, I'm going to slide out of my comfort zone a little bit, right? Look at Jonah. This is what we tend to want to do. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, said, go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But what? Jonah ran away from the Lord. Jonah ran away from the Lord. He went the opposite direction. And he headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa. He got a ship bound for that port. And after paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. How did it work out for him? Not too good, right? It never does. But that tends to be our tendency. That tends to be, it's like, I don't want to do that. I'm uncomfortable talking to those people. I'm uncomfortable. Jonah ran. And a lot of us still do. This is the thing. When you say, I will go, I will try, it'll cost you something. Okay? It'll cost you something. I watch missionary families all the time, the great cost to their families. It's not easy. That's why Jonah looked at it and he was like, Nineveh. I don't want to go to Nineveh. I don't want to go there. There's a cost. It may cost us our comfort. Okay? I'm going to be out of my bed this week. I won't have whatever I want to eat whenever I want it. Okay? There'll be a meal prepared for me, but they'll set it in front of me and I'll look at it and go, what's a fish dog? Okay? Okay? All right? And so I'll eat it, or I'll look at it. Right? Now, there's cool stuff, man. Don't get me wrong. We've got no-bake cookies that are to die for, and pink lemonade all you want, and they'll have salad bars, and it'll be fine. I'm not really, but there's moments that we look at things and it's like, I don't know, and that's nothing compared to what some of our missionaries deal with, right? It's nothing. Sometimes it costs us our very reputation. It costs a lot. Some of our missionaries even give their lives. The early church grew because believers went and not because they stayed. Okay? The early church grew because the believers went and not because they stayed. Obedience, our final point this morning, to go, brings to us our joy and our purpose. Okay? When you see someone that doesn't have Jesus, when you see a family that is unchurched, and when you can be the catalyst, when you can be the one that says, hey, I would like for you to come. And so this is how this works, and I want to kind of lay this out for you to help you understand where we are and where we're headed to as we head into VBS. John chapter 4, verse 34 says this, my food, said Jesus, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. What to live on. Don't you have a saying, it's still 4 months until harvest? Let me tell you, open your eyes and look at the fields. They are ripe for harvest. They're ripe for harvest. See, when we go, we participate in God's redemptive work, and that's where we become our true selves. That's where we fulfill our purpose. This is where VBS fits into this. This is where the rubber hits the road for us, and these are some of our walking points as we look at how we put this into action. 80% of Ohio County is unchurched. Okay, 80%. That's the number. We know this to be true. All right, research tells us this. That 8 out of 10 people that you invite to come to church will come. All right? 8 out of 10 people that you invite to come to church will come. I would dare to say that that number is a bit higher if you invite their kids to come to VBS. Right? If you know a family that has children, that is unchurched, they do not attend church regularly, and you invite them to come to VBS, the likelihood is they're going to say yes. Now, you may only get the kids. That's okay. Right? That's okay. But it's a start. Right? It's an open door. When the children come, they will find friends, they will find things that they love, and they'll find excitement, and then we'll invite them to come back the next week, the next Sunday, the next Wednesday. It's an entry point. All right? It's an entry point. I dare to say that most people will not bite your head off if you say, hey, VBS at Living Faith starts on July the 20th. We start at 6 o'clock. Won't you come and bring the kids, or let me bring the kid? However you need to manage that, come. Nobody is going to look at you. Now, they may look at you and go, we are on vacation. We're leaving. Okay, I'm sorry. That's fine. Maybe next year, right? It's okay. You're not going to die, right? Nobody's going to kill you. But 8 out of 10 times when you invite somebody to come, they will say yes. They'll do that just coming to church. And so we have Easter and we have Christmas and we have all these things. And so you have all these opportunities just to go, right? Just to go. You have to leave out of your comfort zone and go to the people that are around you and say, will you? Will you come to church with me? Will you attend with me? And the likelihood of them saying yes is very high. 80%, that's a pretty good number. If everybody invites 10, look at that. You get 8. Wow. Like I said, if every group grows one family a year, that's massive. The thing that we have to be intentional about it, and I think this is tough. This is really tough. I really love the community that I live in. It's very close-knit, and we know everybody that's there, and so it's very good. But I've said this many times. Communities aren't as close-knit as they used to. We're starting to see some more of that come back. We're starting to see people gather and people kind of circle up and those kinds of things. We need to know our communities, whoever is close to you, to make some type of intentional move to say, because it may seem weird to somebody, and I get this. Our executive director of KBC is Todd Gray. I haven't got a chance to meet Todd. I'm looking forward to that opportunity. His big thing is knocking on doors, man. I mean, all I got to do is call Todd Gray and say, come down here and let's go, and he's going to go. He don't care. He's just going to plunge right in and just go for it. That's probably as far out of my comfort zone as I can get. Right? And some people really freak out if you just show up cold on their doorstep and go knocking on their door. They're going to be like, who is this on my doorstep? And do I need to release the dogs? And you're getting your picture made and you're on camera. And, I get it. But when you have a connection point, if you have to drive less than 5 minutes from your house to pass somebody else's house, you have a connection point, right? I just live right over the hill. I'm just right over here. You can see my house from your house, right? If everybody is intentional to say, hey, I want to make sure I know my neighbor, just wanted you to know I'm your neighbor, and we, if there's ever anything I can do for you, I go to Living Faith. Would love to have you come to Living Faith with us. Here's some information. I just wanted to make a connection point to say, hey, I am your neighbor, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's gonna look at you weird, right? They might, and if they do, that's okay. You'll be fine. But we should know our neighbor, and we should love our neighbor. We get to know our community through outreach and service and being intentional. It's not just reaching out, it's knowing what's going on, because God will give you entry points. Okay? God will give you entry points. It could be something sad, like the loss of a loved one. If that happens, take food. It could be something super joyous, like the birth of a child. If that's the case, take some food. Drop off a gift. Use those things. If you drive down the road and you see balloons and a sign, it's a girl, it's a boy, right? Stop by with a box of diapers. Stop by with something. Say, hey, I saw your sign. Love to have you at church sometime. Just whatever. Whenever you see an opportunity to connect with somebody. And then social media, right? I mean, you don't have to go knock on their door. You can just knock on their phone, right? You figure out who they are, send them a request, send them something, and just say, hey, I'm your neighbor down the road. And we've never had a chance to talk. I just wanted to say hi, let you know who I am. It's much less stress for some who get really nervous about those things. I get it. Now, we've talked a whole lot about going to our close, but I want to close with just helping you to understand the importance of global missions. Okay? God may not call you to leave this country and go to a foreign land. All right? You'll know if He does. Right? When opportunities come up to go to Honduras, to go to Nepal, to go to Bangladesh, to go to Sao Paulo, Brazil, when those opportunities come and you are being called, when you see it, you'll know because He'll prod you. He'll prompt you and you'll be like, I need to go. Okay? If that's happening to you, you need to go. Okay? You need to get a passport and you need to go. But every time you see that and you're like, oh, man, I just not, right? It's like the old Wendy Bagwell story about the snake handling church in eastern Kentucky. One of the guys looked at him and he said, buddy, he said, you mean to tell me that if the Lord commanded you to take up the serpent, you wouldn't take him up? He said, yes, sir, I surely would. But He didn't, and I ain't, right? You'll know if you're called. You will know if you're called. And so if you're called, go. But let me tell you, you can support it, right? Hopefully between Troy's daughter is coming, she's home back in the States now, and they're home from North Africa. Planning on bringing them here before the end of the year. They're going to be home for 6 months on their leave. I'm going to try to bring her and Clayton here, and I'm going to try to bring both of them, the whole family, and just set them up here on stage, and we're just going to talk to them about their experience being IMB missionaries. And my prayer is that opens all of our hearts to how can we support you, right? How can we support you? Knowing the things that they're going through, knowing the things that they're enduring. I mean, in the time that they have been in North Africa, Kim has gone through breast cancer. Clayton lost his dad. I mean, it's been just one traumatic thing after another. Satan will attack missionary families. And how can we support them? How can we help them? Right? We need to know that because that's another way of going in support. We don't have to always travel to that foreign land and stay there, but knowing that we have people there and how we can support them is huge. We can pray, we can give, we can offer so many things. My closing question this morning as we ponder this is when it comes to going, ask yourself this question and let God answer it for you. How am I being personally? If you're a Jesus follower, then you're commanded to go, right? Whether it's across the road, but it's out of your chair, right? You're commanded to do something outside of your chair. How will I advance the kingdom? How will I advance the kingdom? Answer that question. Let God answer it for you. Let me pray for us. Father, we love you. We thank you so much.